Today's episode is brought to you by Sincerely Shalia, my very own greeting card line, written and designed by me for real love and real life. Whether you need the perfect card to celebrate love, apologize, or say what's on your heart, Sincerely Shalia has you covered. So skip the generic and say it your way. Check out my full collection at shaliavinny.com/greeting cards and find the card that speaks for you. I can't wait till you guys check them out. And don't forget to let me know what you think. I love you guys. Hello and welcome to the Love This Way podcast, the show that exists to help men and women everywhere to be better at love. Never any gender wars or back and forth, just great tips to help you find and sustain the love of your dreams. Because love is a journey, but you still need direction. So I want you to grab your tribe and get ready, because each episode we're going to be talking about our real life issues, answering tough questions, and building solid relationships with one another as we heal, learn, and grow. I'm your host, your girl, Dr. Shalia Vinny, and today I want to teach you one thing. When life is hard, don't make your spouse pay for it. You ready? Hey, my babies. Welcome back to another episode of Love This Way. Today, I want to talk to the people that are tired. Not regular tired. I'm talking about the kind of tired where you wake up already exhausted. The kind where work is demanding everything you have. The bills keep coming, the kids need you, your family needs you, your phone just never stops ringing. Your responsibilities just don't ever seem to have an off switch. And somewhere in the middle of trying to keep your entire life from falling apart, you realize you don't have much left for yourself. And unfortunately, sometimes the person who gets what's left of you is your spouse. The person who didn't cause the stress, the person who didn't create the problem, the person who actually loves you, but you snap at them. You become short, you withdraw, you become irritable, you stop communicating, you don't want to be touched. Everything they say annoys you. And then they start wondering, what did I do? Maybe nothing. Maybe you're just exhausted. And I think we need to have very honest conversation about this, because hard seasons are a part of life. There's going to be seasons where you don't feel like yourself. There's going to be seasons where you don't have the energy you normally have. There's going to be seasons where romance takes a back seat. There's going to be seasons where you're just trying to make it through the week. And the goal isn't to pretend you're fine. The goal is to learn how to struggle without turning the person beside you into the enemy, because your spouse can be your refuge without becoming your punching bag. Because sometimes you don't have a bad relationship, you have a tired relationship. Can we start there? Because honestly, I think that people make a huge mistake when they evaluate their entire relationship based on how they feel during an incredibly difficult season. You're overwhelmed. Your spouse feels neglected. They're overwhelmed. You feel rejected. You're both exhausted. Now you're arguing more, having less sex, spending less time together, laughing less, talking less. And suddenly, one of you thinks, maybe we aren't compatible anymore. Maybe. But maybe you're just tired. Maybe you're not falling out of love. Maybe you're running out of bandwidth. Think about how differently you behave when you've rested versus when you're depleted, when you've slept, when you aren't worried about money, when work isn't consuming you, when you have time to breathe. You're probably more patient, more affectionate, more playful, more available. Now, put that same person under enormous pressure for 6 months, and suddenly they're irritable. They don't want to talk. They're overstimulated. They need space. They have no interest in going out. They barely have energy to shower, let alone plan a date. That's not necessarily a relationship problem. Sometimes that's just a human problem. And this matters because if you don't recognize the season you're in, you can start diagnosing the relationship instead of addressing the exhaustion. You start saying, you don't love me anymore. You don't care about us. You've changed. When the truth might be, we're both drowning. And drowning people don't always look romantic. They don't always communicate beautifully. They don't always have patience. They don't always show up as their best selves. That's why I want couples to learn the difference between our relationship is unhealthy and our lives are currently overwhelming us. Sometimes it's both, and sometimes it's neither. Sometimes you're just in a really hard chapter. But chapters change. So don't make a permanent decision about your relationship based on a temporary season of exhaustion. I need to go deeper because I really want to make sure that you guys understand that your partner can be your safe place without becoming the place you dump everything. Here's what I want to challenge the exhausted person to, because I understand why this happens. When you're holding everything together all day, you come home and you finally feel safe enough to fall apart. Your spouse is the person you trust. So they get the tears, the frustration, the silence, the irritation, the anger. And sometimes they get behavior you would never give anybody else. You were polite to your boss. You were patient with your coworkers. You were nice to the cashier. You held it together for your kids. And then you walk through the front door and your spouse says, "How was your day?" And you snap. "I don't want to talk about it." Now, I'm not telling you that you're wrong for needing to fall apart. You're allowed to have bad days and you're allowed to be overwhelmed. You're allowed to need your person. But there is a difference between being vulnerable with your spouse and making your spouse absorb your emotional fallout. You can say, "I had an absolutely terrible day. I don't have much left. Can I just sit with you for a minute?" That's vulnerability. You can say, "I'm really overwhelmed and I'm afraid I'm going to be short with you. I just need like 20 minutes to decompress." That's self awareness. You could even say, "I don't need you to fix it. I just need you to listen." That's communication. But "my day was horrible, so now I'm going to speak to you however I want." That's not vulnerability. That's displacement. Your spouse can understand your exhaustion and still be hurt by how you treat them. Both things can be true. And you know what? Here's something else that couples need to hear. Understanding is not the same thing as permission, because your wife can say, "I know you're under tremendous pressure," and still say, "You can't speak to me like that." Your husband might say, "I know you're overwhelmed," and still say, "I need you to stop taking this out on me." That's not a lack of grace. That's healthy boundaries, because compassion without boundaries is going to become resentment. And boundaries without compassion are going to become punishment. Healthy relationships need both. And if you're the overwhelmed partner, I need you to remember your spouse isn't asking you to never struggle. They're asking you not to make them pay for the struggles that they didn't create. Your partner should be your refuge from the world, not the person who has to recover from you when the world has hurt you. If you're tired of those generic impersonal greeting cards, I've got you covered. Sincerely Shalia is my very own greeting card line, written and designed by me to help you say what's really on your heart. Whether it's love, apologies, or just because, these cards speak for you. Skip the cookie cutter messages and send something real. Check out my collection at shaliavinny.com/greeting cards and find your perfect card today. Now, if you've been listening and you're thinking, "This is us," I want you to know something. You don't have to fix your entire life tonight. You just need to stop letting the hard seasons silently take your relationship with it. So I want to give you 5 things you can do. Number 1, you've got to name the season. Say it out loud. "We're in a bad season." That sentence can change everything, because now you're not fighting each other. You're acknowledging that you're both dealing with something. Instead of "why aren't we like we used to be," try "what do we need right now because life is really heavy." Sometimes naming the problem correctly is the first step towards solving it. Number 2, give your partner a warning instead of an attitude. This is so simple. Instead of coming home angry and expecting your spouse to figure out what's happening, tell them, "I'm at capacity today. Work was brutal. I love you. I'm just really overstimulated. I need a little time to come down before we talk." Your partner shouldn't have to decode your exhaustion. Give them information, because when you don't explain what's happening inside of you, they often assume that they're the reason. Number 3, create a decompression ritual. You need somewhere for the stress to go before it gets dumped into your relationship. Maybe it's 20 minutes alone, a shower, a walk, music in the car, going to the gym, sitting quietly, changing your clothes, taking a few deep breaths before walking into the house. Whatever genuinely helps you transition. And if you work from home, maybe you need a ritual that creates a psychological boundary between work you and relationship you. The point isn't to escape your family, is to give your nervous system a chance to come down, because sometimes you don't need to talk to your spouse immediately. Sometimes you need 10 minutes to become yourself again. Number 4, tell your partner what kind of support you need. This can save so many arguments. Sometimes you need comfort. Sometimes you need space. Sometimes you need a solution. Maybe you might need somebody to listen. Sometimes you need food in silence. Say it. "I don't need advice right now. I just need you to listen." Or, "Can you just hold me?" Or, "I need 30 minutes alone and then I want to talk." Stop making your partner guess how to love you through the hard season. Give them a map. And last but not least, number 5, keep one small piece of your relationship alive. This one is so important, because maybe you can't afford a date right now. Maybe you're exhausted. Maybe you have 3 kids. Maybe your schedules are insane. But what can you keep? 10 minutes before bed? A morning kiss, a Sunday coffee together, one episode of a show you watch only together, a nightly, what's one thing you need from me tomorrow? Holding hands in the car, a random text, a hug that lasts longer than 2 seconds. You don't need to maintain everything at full capacity during a difficult season, but don't abandon the relationship completely. Protect one small ritual that reminds you we're still us. Let me leave you with this, and I really hope you take it with you. There are going to be seasons where life is beautiful, and there will be seasons where life is brutally hard. There's going to be seasons where you have more money, energy, more time, more patience, and then there are going to be seasons where you're just trying to make it through to Tuesday. That's life. You don't have to love every season to love each other through it. And I want couples to stop expecting themselves to function like everything is fine when everything isn't fine. Give yourself some grace. Ask for help. Rest when you can. Lower the unnecessary expectations. Communicate. Apologize when you get it wrong. And most importantly, remember which side you're on. Because when life gets hard, it's so easy to look at your spouse and think, you're making this harder. But maybe they're looking at you thinking the exact same thing. Meanwhile, the real enemy is the exhaustion, the financial pressure, the workload, the grief, the responsibility, the season. And you're both standing there fighting each other while the actual problem is winning. Don't let that happen. One day, the kids are going to be older, the job is going to change, the bills will look different, the crisis will pass. You're going to sleep again, you're going to laugh again, you'll have energy again. And when you finally reach the other side, I hope you don't look at the person beside you and realize you lost each other while trying to survive everything else. Because sometimes you don't need a different person. You need the two of you to remember that you're on the same side. Your spouse doesn't need the perfect version of you. They need the honest version. The one who can say, I'm struggling, I'm overwhelmed, I don't have much left today. Can you help me? And sometimes, I'm sorry, you didn't deserve that. I was hurting and I took it out on you. That's love too. Not just the date nights or the vacations or the butterflies. Love is also two exhausted people looking at each other in the middle of a difficult season and saying, we're going to figure this out together. We're going to get through this. So life is hard right now, but don't turn on each other. Turn toward each other. Because the goal isn't to make it through the hard season untouched. The goal is to make it through together. And one day, when the storm finally passes, I hope you look at the person beside you and realize we didn't let the hardest chapter become the end of our story. That's the kind of love worth fighting for. And that's how you make it to the other side. Now, if you need more help, you can always go to shaliavinny.com, book a one-on-one or a couple session, and I'll be here to help you guys get through it as well. I love you guys. I'm going to see you on the next episode, okay? Today's show is brought to you by Sincerely Shalia, my greeting card line. Please rate the show on your favorite streaming platform, share it with one person who you think needs to hear it, and then ask them to do the same. Remember, good, better, best. Don't you ever let it rest. To your good is better and your better is best. Until next time, your friend, motivator, and relationship strategist, Dr. Shalia. Bye.